Straight from the heart. Very good evening and a warm welcome to all our listeners across Sri Lanka and all over the world. You are tuned into this special broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka over the airwaves of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And today in this second segment of Straight from the Heart, we feature a self-motivated, extraordinarily dynamic, yet simple, self-made, successful entrepreneur. He heads an organization established almost 3 decades back, which today has become an extremely successful, creative, very much focused in capitalizing on new opportunities and possibilities. Yes, very much a necessity in today's context. And we warmly welcome and say a very good evening to the founder, chairperson of Lanka Sports Rising, also known as LSR Group of Companies, Mr. Thilak Weerasinghe.
Good evening.
Mr. Weerasinghe, to begin our discussion, a very strong set of beliefs. Your tagline reads, creativity, innovation, self-motivation is the key to success. Can you elaborate a little on this?
Actually, before I start this business, I was known windsurfer and water sports lover. I am doing all the water sports. At the same time, I am doing nature sports. Now, someone can think, what is the nature sports that we have in the country? So, the country is ideally situated, blessed with the warm water and nature. Then year-round, you have some beaches. Let me take the advantage of the country for surfing. So people can't surf everywhere you want. You have to have a right wave. So we are blessed with that. Throughout the year, we can surf either in East Coast or the Southwest Coast. With all that, I started my travel arm. First, I started the company with the water and nature-based activities because I was involved in that. And then I started my travel arm, late 1980s. That's how I started. But of course, being in this special interest area, you have to learn a lot. You have to be a swimmer, hiker, biker, and then since I'm involved in the activities and I did my further training in the other part of the world, there I learned mountain biking, rock climbing. This is all in 80s. So I had taken whatever little knowledge I got from the other part of the world and started the activities in the country. That's how the humble beginning started. But there is a very big market for these kind of activities in other part of the world. But they don't have blessed nature or the water as we have. Because they are seasonal. Sometimes you have to use different suit to get into the water. And here, throughout the year, you can just go with your normal swimsuit and do your activities. Or hiking, biking, you don't need to wear a lot of different clothing. So you just go as you like. And also look at our mountain range. Look at our tea area. So there, we didn't do much. We had used the trail, what is available. So those trails are ideal for mountain biking. And the gaps we have, even the climbing or downhill, we have a superb trail in the country. So all what I did, with the little knowledge I harnessed from the other part of the world, I tried to understand what we have and created the platform to build my business by using the water and nature and the other resources we are having in the country. That's how I made to where I am today.
Wonderful, simple, but yet very focused. Now, this also sheds some light as to the infrastructure, the facilities that we are blessed with in this country.
Yeah.
Your business venture obviously seems to have begun with a flavor of sports behind it. Any particular reasons?
As I said, I was a sportsman in my young days. I was a swimmer and then learned windsurfing, diving, and all the water sports. From there, I had taken that again as my career. So that's where the humble beginning started.
Absolutely, and we are very, very proud of to hear all that. Mr. Thilak Weerasinghe, chairperson of Sports Rising and LSR Group of Companies. You have brought a lot of credit and honor to our country. You have won so many awards locally as well as internationally. Could you shed some light to us?
Being known windsurfer. Of course, I got several medals in my young days, and then again got involved in the capacity of organizing events. I had taken some of the event, locally started one to the international calendars. If I name a few, Colombo Marathon, started by me, and we did an 18-year, but last year we couldn't do due to the Easter attack. And then this year, of course, due to the pandemic situation, we can't gather the crowd. But the last race when we did, 43 countries participated, and more than 8,500 runners are participating in this event. This is only IAA qualified run handled by individual person in the country. And then this is the trial run for our national athlete, because this course is certified by IAAF and AIMS. This is one. Then there's another event. Of course, because of that event, I start to get a lot of awards and recognition. It was so hard to continue the event because I don't have a big sponsors or anybody. Whatever little I earn, I put back into the sports because that's a love of the family is having. Myself and my wife is a known athlete, and then family background also into sports. So we did that. Now it is into very higher level in Sri Lanka. Of course, this is recognized as one of the top run. And also we are in par with some of the event organizing. You may have heard London Marathon, Boston Marathon, all the big events like if you take Delhi Marathon or Singapore Marathon, all comes under. You have to first get the approval from AIMS. AIMS is the body for distance and long distance running under IAAF. So IAAF is also a member, the part of AIMS. So what we did, we had developed that, the running, then cycling. We had introduced the event called T-Cup, letter T hyphen cup. It sounds T-Cup. And that event, now in cycling world, UCI event, that is the world body. UCI is the world body for cycling, road racing. I think everybody knows Tour de France and all these big events are under UCI category event. I managed to get the UCI sanction. Now T-Cup is only the UCI sanction event in South Asia. It's not only Sri Lanka. Even India doesn't have a UCI cycling, sanction cycling event. So during this event, now we are giving only one or two teams for Sri Lanka. All the other teams are from different part of the world, because they have to participate on a different ranking level. They are here to also develop their rank. So we get Dutch team, Swiss team, Japan team. The last event, actually, the winner was Japanese cycle team, national cycle team. That level, China national team. So they get to know that we have a capacity of organizing this kind of an event in this country. It's not me. It is actually all, including Cycle Federation, everyone together. We put effort under my guidance to build this up. And today that has been recognized, and we are in the world cycling calendar.
Well, absolutely. That's absolutely brilliant news. I wonder how many of our listeners know that we have a marathon here which is run for the 18th consecutive occasion, and we're looking at the 19th this year, and this is under the jurisdictions of the AIMS, and then also under the regulations of IAAF. So this is an international event with more than 8,000 runners. To add to that, we have our international cycling event which comes under UCI called the T-Cup.
This sounds like T-Cup, but it is the letter T hyphen CUP. Tea trophy.
Very much a flavor of tea. A country very much known in those lines as well. And we certainly will be talking much more. And this is a very interesting first quarter with Mr. Thilak Weerasinghe, chairperson of Sports Horizon. More to come with many insights. Stay tuned to Radio Sri Lanka as we continue this discussion and move into a very insightful topic. All thought of, plan and action by the man himself. Now all that on the other side of this break.
Listen. The Pioneer radio station in Sri Lanka on 97.4 and 97.6 FM. Radio Sri Lanka, 97.4 FM and 97.6 FM.
Welcome back, listeners. And anyone tuning in now, well, you're listening to an exclusive Straight from the Heart chat with Mr. Thilak Weerasinghe, chairperson and founder of Sports Rising. Well, Mr. Weerasinghe, we now have an idea of how it all began for you. Before we move into serious subjects, can you briefly tell us about your past, your school, your youth, and also your family?
Yeah, I will add a little before that. I will, because you were talking about the awards that I bring. I brought some medals to the country as a player, then as an entrepreneur, as an organizer. So I got international and local presidential awards. But again, now we were talking about cycling. There's another cycling. So it is called mountain bike. There's an event in this country called Rumble in the Jungle, which is well known among the mountain bikers. And I developed the trail, and this is a 5 days race, and this is one of the best races in our region again. And people are waiting till we announce the next day to take part. So actually, to participate, we have so many people in the queue, but we can take only the limited number. Could you believe international players are waiting till this day? So this is the value we have. That is not because of me, it is because of the special trail, how we build, how serious we are to develop this trail with the gaps. All that has taken us to one of, again, a best event in mountain biking field. Then surfing, the World Surf League, to the different event we had organized in this country. So World Qualifying Series was in Sri Lanka. I did that for 2 times for the World Qualifying Series. You have a star grading on that. People are coming by paying to participate to get their grading, international recognition, international grading level. Then how about other windsurfing? Then water skiing.
Diving.
Diving is another one. I will talk about it a little later. So that is where I got my medals, trophies and all. And then you asked me about the schooling and all. Actually, I educated in Kotigavatta at the beginning. My mother, father, they were from Kotigavatta. And actually we are from Yakkala. At the moment we are living at Yakkala. But after my sports career, I got a school to Germany at the beginning. From there, I developed my career and I learned all the other activities. At the same time, I start to learn, after finishing my the professional career, I start to learn to be an instructor and then the master trainer. That where my adventure sport started in tourism. So there I start to teach the people and also set the organization to accommodate the people, give them the facilities, and train diving in Sri Lanka. International certificate can take through our organization. That's how the things started. But all what I did, every time with the little education from Europe, I start to travel to all these serious places, including some of the ski valleys or ski resorts. These are differently built resorts for skiing. Then I start to build a resort in Sri Lanka for diving. Start to understand why the people are coming. It doesn't matter they are coming for ski, but of course you have a totally different scenario. The value of the ski resort,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what you're trying to say here is that you are bringing in diversity.
Yes.
Diversity where people look at it, especially from a tourism aspect.
Yeah.
Now, this is a destination where everything is possible.
Yeah, but now ski is not possible here. But I have turned that into the values we are having. We have a lot of values in diving. Why? We have a lot of shipwrecks around. More water and good visibility. So these things help me. So developing resort, always we shouldn't develop just only for tourism. We can develop with the value addition. I developed the resort because of the diving available in that area. So, to accommodate the people who come for diving. It's not the people who is there to do dive with me.
So this speaks, dear listeners, the vision, the passion, and the want to make it happen. In fact, you touched my question with your answer before I could even come out with it. My question was going to be, we have everything, beautiful beaches, perfect locations for windsurfing, water skiing, diving, you name it. My question was going to be, have we understood what we have and are we doing it right to make it possible for people to use it? But it seems you have already started on that, and that speaks about what your vision and then what you want to achieve. Well, we will continue the discussion. Once again, we have a small break and we will join you quickly what our next stage is going to be in terms of taking Sri Lanka forward.
You're with Radio Sri Lanka on 97.4 and 97.6 FM.
Yes, as we return, a warm welcome to all our listeners. If you're just tuning in, plenty of things for you. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a corporate head, sports enthusiast, people interested to explore and consider new revenues, listen and learn. Mr. Thilak Weerasinghe, Chairperson, Lanka Sports Horizon and LSR Group, live and exclusively here in the studios of Radio Sri Lanka. Now, being the visionary you are, it's a privilege to know for the first time in Sri Lanka, you're planning to promote and establish a new business concept. Perhaps one can call it a new model. A concept related to sports, entertainment, health, well-being and many others. But more importantly, through sports, a contributory arm to the Sri Lankan economy. Well, doesn't that sound interesting? Can you shed some light onto that?
I would say this is a broad thought that we had shared. The present Minister Namal Rajapaksa was the key person on driven of this sports economy, and we had contributed for that. For him, companies like ours can be a good example. How we start the career with the sports and where we are today. The LSR is fourth largest revenue earner in inbound tourism. So starting from sports tourism and getting the remarkable revenue into the country, we are one example. So what is this whole sports economy? We need to now in tourism, people are coming into the country. Why they are coming to the country? They know the right wave is there, the right weather is there, and they can practice their activity, which you can't do all over the world. You see, there are countries nobody can surf in that area. But here we are set for it. And then how they come? They fly from wherever they are to Sri Lanka. If they landed in Colombo or Mattala, then they have to use the transport, goes up to the particular area. And then from there, let's take Arugambe. Most of them go. They are traveling even 8 hours to Arugambe. They don't complain. Why? They are going to reach the place where they can practice their activity or enjoy their surfing holiday. Then, now the transport is benefited. Keep airline part out because you have a lot of international air. Once when they are landed here, the money comes into the country. But of course, they bring the foreign currency to spend in Sri Lanka, even when they change into rupee, but they bring in foreign currency. Once when they are there for 1 week, if a surfer comes, they stay sometimes 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They are planning a long holiday. For that 3 weeks, what they do? They need to eat, drink, and then, pay for their boats or instructors or then to the resort in the area. So that is coming into the country. Now, because of the sports, that traveler is coming into the country. Now you can see how the foreign currency come into the country because of the surf. Not he come because of the Sri Lanka. But of course, we are having a lovely country. When they are here, they only don't want to do surf. They can go for excursion, they can go and see inside the country. We are very rich with culture, nature, wildlife. Some of our beaches are in wildlife area. So they can surf. At the same time, in the afternoon, they can see elephant on the road. So this is the country we are in. So we have to be careful about crocodile to everything because we have a lot of wild surf side. Right. That is simple example how one sports can bring little money. See around the country how many foreign surfers you see everywhere. If you take down south from Panadura to Kirinda, there are a lot of beaches for beginner or for a basic surfer to the international qualified surfer. So that is not because of anything, because of the right waves we are having in the country. Take diving. They plan their holiday with a dive. Dive can be an hour or two per day. Or maybe some are doing 2 dives. So that is again maybe a half a day. But still, he have to stay, accommodation, food, transport, all that added into his package. So money comes from that. Now we see a traveler coming into the country, but some of them are coming to stay in upcountry. Allah is actually developed within very short period. Why? Someone start to say Allah is having one of the most cleanest air in this region. So people start to come. Now, when they are there, we think they are staying in a small guest house, shabby places. No. Traveler, we can't talk about high-end tourists and low-end tourists. I, as a surfer or windsurfer, I'll be on the beach with my beach suit and also with, whatever the equipment you use for. So it doesn't mean I'm from the beach or I'm a beach boy. But only little things that we had, our people gone into the different culture, especially on the beach. But there is a culture called beach culture. It's not to look like a hippie or long hair or earring and all. Any CEO of the world in a big, corporation can be a surfer.
Surfer, come to enjoy, have a holiday.
And he can spend about 400-500 a day. It's not the price. It's coming because of the nature value. And now you can see, because of this sports, from the airport till where he enjoy, see the revenue coming into the country? Isn't it a sport economy?
Absolutely. So we are basically talking about tourism with a sports flavor.
Yeah.
And like you very rightly said, from the point they reach the shores of our country till they go through that entire period of enjoyment, there's a serious contribution to the Sri Lankan economy. Now we know Sri Lanka cricket contributes something like around 6 billion rupees annually. 300 million comes from football, 100 million from rugby, and it is forecasted basketball and hockey and all these other 3 games which I spoke about put together can contribute about 8.5 billion rupees to the economy, which is a lot of money. So what has happened here is this is an absolute revolution. New thinking, new planning, and I'm sure a lot of mechanisms will have to go as to how we can harness this possibility and make it very much a possible contribution to the growth and the development of the country as a whole.
I hope you hear the few statements what Minister Namal Rajapaksa announced. He said he want to drive this to $1 billion worth of revenue annually. So how he can set this target? Of course, as you said, 8.2, 8.5 billion coming into the country from these sports. We have 70 associations. Out of 70, about 10, 12 associations are doing very well. They bring even a foreign currency into the country by organizing the events. Cricket is a good example, and they are doing it for many years. And with all of these organizations, we think we are doing about 1,000 million right? So then if it is $1 billion, it is 18 billion, roughly about 18 billion rupee. Now we have to also see where the other 1,000 to 800 million come from. So tourism is one example. Then we have to look at other areas. What are the other areas? Events. Now I said Colombo Marathon. We had last one. We had 43 countries participated. And we didn't pay them to come. They paid their airfare to everything, even everything, only winners and few special invitees. We look after only their accommodation because we need to have a different, to build the event, we have to have a different caliber of runners. Right. Now that brings the money. So if somebody else even organize a good event in the country, sports event, we don't have athletic Grand Prix. Take Singapore, take Dubai, how they build with the yacht rally they don't have resources like what we are having. The nature blessings they don't have, but still they have created events, right? And if you think about golf, now how many golf courses we have, how many golfers are coming on holiday? Where is that revenue goes? Isn't it sports revenue? Right? And we need to understand a little more about the values we are having. That's what the minister, clearly stated after doing a proper study. He himself is a good surfer. He himself is a runner, a biker, and he's into rugby and all that. Why I'm saying this, he was on a grassroots level to all these sports. He knows how we live, what we get, where the money comes in. So if you go to that world, people are living without, trouble in the country. Self-motivated, and they make their revenue, and they live, they bring the money into the country. How many thousands of Sri Lankan youth are involved in that? How many thousand youth are still practicing to be one of the instructors? And how many runners we can build in this country.
Wonderful, Mr. Weerasinghe. Many positives, absolutely splendid stuff. So many fronts with such remarkable ease. Yes, time for another break. And when we return on the other side, we will be talking more with Mr. Thilak Weerasinghe, chairperson of Lanka Sports Horizon and LSR Group.
The station of the nation, 97.4 and 97.6, Radio Sri Lanka.
Our Minister of Sports, a young man himself, very much involved in sports, be it rugby, representing Sri Lanka at the international level, in fact captaining Sri Lanka as well, brought about a huge change and improvement to the structure of rugby in Sri Lanka. He's involved in windsurfing and also leading from the front, setting the roadmap for the youngsters to follow and take over the leadership mantle. And any particular message for our youth, how they can make use of these opportunities, and then also form some sort of a contributory factor to the economy of this country?
Actually, youth can be self-motivated entrepreneurs. Now, people are thinking, what are the entrepreneurship? You can do it on a beach or at mountain, or everybody want to come into Colombo to do business, no? They do the business what they have seen or what they get to know during their school or from, friends' background or the family background. But there are so many opportunities we have. So we have to make sure that we educate the youth to be a self-motivated entrepreneur. How we are going to start? So we have to come out with a lot of different activities. First, to understand where they are, what are the development that we can do in the area. It can be a water, it can be a nature, it can be a rock that we develop to a rock climbing test, climb a rock. In a one rock, you can have many gaps to climb. But of course, then you have to study about the area, about the rock, and it need to be tested. And I'm sure if somebody start his own rock climbing center in this country, we can have a couple of rock climbing centers. We don't have a single test rock for tourism. If you do that, people will pay a nominal fee to climb that rock. So that itself, it is possible. I'm sure these listeners might be in the area where you have the real rock formations, which can be the garden of rocks. People are thinking, my God, because of the rocky vegetable is not coming and we don't have a place to, go, and all that problem they are having. And the rock formation is the blessed place for rock climbing.
So this is what you're talking is adventure, excitement and the opportunity for the youth in their own way to plan to take that step to uncharted areas which can become very successful personally for them and also an opportunity for the country.
And at the same time now, I said this, people may start to think differently now. But of course, we have to train them, take them to the different level of their education on these sports. Safety. The safety measurements has to be taken because all the adventure sports are into high risk. But we have to learn also risk calculation. We have to do these activities with the calculated risk elements. So children need to learn, youth need to learn, they will love, they have a power. They are fit enough to, hang on to this area. So without giving a support to train or give them the areas, we have to have a comprehensive discussion, get resource person even locally or internationally, and try to teach the children to open their eyes and see where they are and what more they could do in their area. If not, can they do something in their district? We have a 25 district. If even you don't have an opportunity in the district, then look at provincial council. We have a 9 provincial council. In this province, I'm sure one of the activity can be done, which will help the tourism. It can be related to tourism, but we don't need to look for the international tourism or passengers come from different part of the world. How about the domestic tourism? All of us are happy even to do a little bike ride, a small bike ride with kids. In some of the place, if we feel this place is safe, we have the right equipment, someone to look after us, right? And take even some of the cultural side. You can walk or you can do a small cycle. You don't need to be a winner or to be a real biker to do biking. So that is an event. So now Minister started 4 pillars in his ministry. One is a leisure pillar. So people want to know what is this leisure sports in the sportsmen. We were all, so far what we did in all our sport ministries, what I understood from my childhood, ministry was involved in competitive sports to win medals in the other part of the world, which is very good. We need to actually encourage, develop that. And also people think there's a huge budget that allocated from the government, from our own money to develop that. Now here we are turning into different angle. Of course that is there. But at the same time, we invite people to come on holiday to do sports. So leisure sports is helping on that economy.
Well, absolutely, because the records show we have a contribution from travel and tourism industry to our GDP, something like 12.5%, which was in 2018, which was increased from 11.7%. And also, very interestingly, the World Bank has elevated Sri Lanka and upgraded to an upper middle income country with a GDP per capita of US dollars 4,102. So the possibilities are enormous. All what we need to do is, like you very rightly say, be creative in our thinking.
Yes, and also now by saying this, now one pillar is a leisure, the second pillar is a competitive, or the first can be competitive. Then Minister came out with the idea, e-sports. What is this e-sports? At the beginning I was also, because he's young, they know the world sport, the way how the children are enjoying. Even one who is not physically active in sports, they go into e-sports. Now Xbox and all that. That is again $1 billion industry. I think it's huge industry in the world.
And taking off here in Sri Lanka as well.
Yes, it is. So, is it a sports economy? If this is part of the sports, that's what we have to look at. If it is not, then we have to see how we develop that segment. Right. So, likewise, we have 4 pillars. In these 4 pillars, education is one of the key area for us to train the people to be a good, healthy national and to contribute to develop our economy. It can be in sports, it can be otherwise in tourism or whatever. But that background, we need to develop a youth. We have enough youth looking for opportunity. So, some of them, everybody can't go to university, everybody can't go to be a doctor, engineer and all. There are so many people end up without anything, no? So, end of the day, all we are blaming, saying they are 3-wheeler drivers. But what have we done for that? Where are we? Why are we saying only blaming our innocent people here? No. The fisherman's son can be good deep sea fishing instructor or a boatman taking foreigners for game fishing. That's another multinational, industry.
Opportunity huge. Is this a part of the vision and the focus of this high-profile task force, keeping in mind the vision for Sri Lanka tourism up to 2025?
Yes, actually, it is developed some time back. Of course, they have taken me also as one of the members. They had taken me
that
because
also
of
brings me. I need to break in once again. It also is important to mention that you are a member of the Airport and Aviation Board and also the Tourism Development Authority, plus a member of SLITO as well.
Now, Tourism Development Authority is having a seat for SLITO. That is, SLITO stands for Inbound Tour Operators Association. And then I'm at the Airport Aviation Board. That is because of my knowledge, not presently I'm representing Tourist Board. I was representing SLITO at that chair for some time. And there what we do, we are looking at the development of tourism in this country. So my contribution is more to develop the knowledge in specialized area. Now, guide can be a national guide, lecturer can be a diving guide too. He knows about the general, at the same time he has his specialty. How about hiker, biker? So for these guide, I don't think they will go for a small amount. They may ask $50, $100 a day because specialty, and they have to sweat a lot to keep their clients, happy, and maybe they have to physically involve. Then take the other hoteliers. Then are we allowing everybody to do hotel? Or can we plan some resort? For surfing resort or the diving resort or some activities. Now Kandy, of course, Kandy is developed. Some of our southern beaches are developed. Anuradhapura, Polonnaruwa cultural triangle developed. So there's always a meaning of people to travel. It's not only the hotel. There's a possibility of the hotel too, but it is what you get in that area. What more you could do. What is the interest of them to be to that area. So if we do that, we can get more tourists into country, but with plan, develop different concepts. So what is happening end of it? Even though we seated, we contribute as industry professionals in these meetings. Then we have a government officials in there. Then we discuss, try to come into understanding. So I would say each province is having their tourism arm. And can we be part of them and try to help them to build little in their province? Other than being now in tourism stream, we are talking about guide or hotel, all that, no. But the guide can be a specialized guide for wildlife. We have some. So they can be in a wildlife area. Fishing guide, fishing area. Then how about mountain guide? If a mountain guide is not only a hiker who understand their terrain, that is flora, fauna, and then the other life of all the animals in the area, all that is there. So if a client comes, other than taking him from A to B, if someone contribute with the fashion, saying, okay, I'm a hiker, this is the plan, this is what we could do, this is what new we have, all that will help to help to keep a client. And who does that, or who can do that, is the person from the area. We need to educate them. So, by example, if we get our target for 2025 to reach 5 million tourists, I'm sure from airport to their entire holiday, per person, there will be at least 2 to 3 people average will benefit from them to their, whatever the sources they are in. It can be directly involved or indirectly involved in tourism. If you get a 5 million, multiply by 2, so it's 10 million. So 10 million population, out of our population, 10 million get job opportunity. Are we ready for it? And who are they? Now we are talking about 500,000 directly involved in tourism and 2 million maybe getting benefit indirectly also, including the farmer. And then, now if tourism increase, it will be increased by numbers also, no? So then we are talking about 10 million jobs. In tourism.
Indirect revenue opportunities.
Yes. If we don't train now our youth with good health, good practices, with a lot of different activities, including hotels or whatever, then what is happening? Our youth are ready to serve for the tourism need. Otherwise, we have to start to import the people. If you start to import the people, now your figures, 2018, we got 2.2 million, nearly 2.3 million tourists, and our revenue was $4.3 billion. We thought it will increase by 2025. Direct or the declined revenue, 5 million tourists, $10 billion declined. In declined, or the way they spend here and there, I think this is the industry of $13 to $15 billion, which comes into the country. So now, if we don't have a trained manpower, if we can't serve, what we are going to do? The government have to make the decision to import the people to serve these people, because we know it. So part of it will go back. We may get a lot of different consultants come and say, no, we get that people. This is how the world is building now. But here, we are also now suffering without jobs. Our industry alone, tourism or sports, they go together, can cater for this $10 billion revenue into country. So look at the contribution to the DJP there.
What a positive end to this discussion. And dear listeners, you are listening to how things can be changed to positives for everyone to be successful and our country to be successful in return as well. Well, like they say, all good things have to come to an end, but not before we say what a privilege it has been to listen to you, your successes, and even more importantly, the vision you have for the future of Sri Lanka. Mr. Thilak Weerasinghe, Chairman, Lanka Sports Horizon, a member of the high-profile task force established to drive Sri Lanka 2025 vision for the tourism industry, a serving board director of Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority and the Airport and Aviation. On behalf of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation and all our listeners, we wish you the best of luck and assure you we certainly will be available to support and be of assistance any way possible. Thank you for joining straight from the heart and wish you all our listeners a pleasant evening and God's blessings. And from me, Ashley Ratnaik, a big thank you as always. Until next time.
Thank you.